Today is yet another connector day that serves one important event that I want to talk about later on. So I woke up, I had a quick breakfast, I was able to pressure my mom to get me to school early, even though she took a little bit long. Morning period, I was unable to integrate into a friend group because I hesitate between three places. The problem is that friend groups are like moving targets. One day you could be with them, the other day you're not. I attempted to get ground in the cafeteria, but the bell was already about to ring, so the people that I was going to meet, they ended up leaving. And it's not necessarily a failure, but just that I ran out of time and I hesitated for a little too long. I know. First period, I continued on Spanish, we continued on the basic verb conjugations, a little practice, and I didn't have too much trouble. We did learn about adding nouns after prepositions, like such as like camera is for her, except translate that into Spanish. I had a little trouble, but I got how to do it eventually. Second period, continued on the unit of archery. I was able to hit up my arrows on the outer white target line for one shot, and then one shot for the inner blue target line. No bullseye, but I attribute my shots because I stood in the back slightly instead of staying like side to side with another partner. So there were like multiple targets. We stood side by each partner, but I stood a little bit more back. I think I was able to hit it because of that reason. My teacher ended up correcting my position, so I had to move. I didn't make any shots after. It was cold too, and I think I should have brought my sword, to be honest. Third period, we continued on a web quest assignment and about wind, and we talked about how weather systems. The teacher was talking about some seminar about wind and that we're gonna be doing it next week. I made the 67 gesture as it said 6.7 million homes burned down as a result of fires. Then, then someone unfortunately called on me. As much as I'm not gonna name you, I answered the question that the teacher was asking me, but I chose the next person. The girl I was talking about yesterday, of course, you guys know, they make mini arguments a lot of the time in class. Not annoying. I picked on her in class, and the class kind of chuckled a little bit. I know Caleb got the last laugh this time, but sorry, Taron. Don't take it personal if you see this video in like 5 years from now. Now, fourth period on notes regarding Adolf's rule on Germany and how he slowly changed a democracy into a totalitarian government with his ideologies. I took notes about it, and then I just worked on some other assignments after. Lunch period, not really much happened this time, mostly about weather, but one of you guys did tell me about someone had some sort of like mini gaming setup. It's like a teacher gaming setup in one of the classes nearby the library. I didn't get to see it on the club list, probably something that teacher holds sometimes for people who know. But I am curious about it, so yeah, you know who you are. Make sure to text me the room number if they're still doing it anyway. Now, fifth period, I bet a few more cents that students would be late. There was one late student, and there was one more that came much later on. Now, we read Lord of the Flies and how the characters are now getting a nice view of the island, and how the class chuckled at page 97. For the ones curious, it does say the word Snickers on this page for the small book edition. It might differ if you have a different book edition. The boys had plenty of funny moments in class, and even the teacher called them out. This is also crucial because this is where I got my link through leader application. I got my interview around next week, so I'll be ready. I'll probably show it on my Instagram, though I have to censor some details. Sixth grade, I completed a math test about parabolas and quadratics, and I was confident of a good grade. Not too many funny moments present, just cheer chatter here and there. No library visits. Now, a lesson that I learned while PE is thinking that I remember the friend groups I was with time and time again. Not all of them necessarily, but many of them have been structurally complicit because they deny entry to newcomers because of the social game, because of how things work in high school. The first issue is that a lot of friend groups keep acting like moving targets. I tried to integrate into some, but then again, they kept moving around. And then the second issue I know is that they won't tell me where they would go. It's a false assumption that people who go to their group already have friends. It's what the friend group assumes relative to the newcomer who's looking to join. I was waiting to integrate, but I believe that the routines and moving away, like a moving target, acted as a feedback loop that they themselves don't even realize that locks out new people from joining. And asked like other friend groups. I asked where they would be for like a few friend groups I've been before. They never really told me, or left me on it essentially. It's a false assumption because that people who go to this group, the group assumes that newcomers who join the group already have friends, even though they were waiting to integrate. And in my case, I was waiting to integrate, but the routines and moving around, they may have assumed I already have friends. They may have assumed that I was just looking around, but the routines and moving around acted as a feedback loop that they themselves don't even realize, in unintentionally locking out new people from joining the group, including someone like me. Man, they're shared in routines, moving around, especially with their assumptions that people who do join the group are usually they have their own friend group or their own rotators. The assumptions aren't wrong inherently since it's the nature of high school, but when it generalizes about every person, they don't tell people, or they subconsciously assume. They are being structurally negligent of others around them, and they don't even realize it themselves. The mechanism here is intentional information asymmetry. They assume that since everyone knows of the routine, they assume the newcomer will probably know of it too, even though the newcomer absolutely has no information where they're going to move at all. This is one of the top reasons I do want to be a link leader, is that I do need to warn freshmen of these types of people. They're not evil, but they're structurally negligent. So they don't fall into these traps wherever they look. If I was to speak to one of them, if they knew what the issue is, or I would simply ask calmly, is that if they claim to be open and secure like any other friend group, then how come the structure doesn't have redundancies to let newcomers know where they're going? Movement isn't wrong, but the problem is that you're not telling others, is what I'm raising here, is that they deny newcomers entry by not communicating routines clearly, not communicating where they're going to be at, operating on false assumptions. It's an exclusive behavior that they don't even realize that undermines legitimacy. It's opaque, unaccountable, and I believe by them not enforcing others about their group, they violate the principles of fair governance, even for a simple friend group in high school. By Enlightenment standards, if we think of friend groups as their own little country, they're not even watching their own borders at this point. Who comes in, who comes out? As abstract monarchs, leaders, and presidents of each group, it is each group's job to let the citizens know where y'all gonna hang out. Or maybe a simple text. And of course, the job is also to recognize the visibility and viability of any newcomer for that example. The thing is that none of these checks have occurred at all. It's just people drifting in and out. And that's the first problem that they need to solve. By those standards relative to outsiders, I would deem the friend group's social position and role is socially illegitimate relative to people like us. It may work for them, but because they won't tell and they work on false assumptions, it's not going to work for others. And it can be fixed provided that recognition is meant to fix those problems. But the thing is that in high school, not many people really get to see like social stuff as it's happening because people are still stuck in that social survival mindset. So they may not even realize the mistakes that they're making in the know. So for me, I'm just gonna make sure that this gets recorded, even though the realization for these people might be little late, maybe even after graduation. I don't know, but the truth needs to be there.